Hey everybody, it's almost time for Camp NaNoWriMo, so I thought we would have a little chat here about camp, what I'm writing, what my goals are, how I'm integrating it with my writer reset vlogs, which are coming up, and I have a great new free workbook for those of you who are participating in Camp NaNoWriMo. And even if you're not doing camp, I have something for those of you who are interested in writer reset, where I will be totally resetting my joy, my habits, my creativity, and everything around my writing. So let's chat. Okay, so I have some notes here. I decided to grab my latest NaNoWriMo hoodie. I got this during the month of November. It has the little key and everything. I love it. And I'm getting into the mood of writing, which is why I'm sitting on the floor in this room. And I'm excited to basically spend the month of April getting back to identity of being a writer. And it's hard to explain it any other way. I've been really thinking about this a lot lately, that I've really struggled in my writing to a degree ever since my daughter was born. The year I got pregnant with her, 2018, I got pregnant with her in December of 2018. That year I wrote and published 5 novels. It was my biggest year ever. I also started Heart Breathings. I started my HB90 system. I had so much going on that year, and it was a really excited season of production and creation, and it was wonderful. But I won't go into all the hows and whys of it being difficult from 2019 onward, but I haven't had a creative year like that since. And there were multiple things when I kind of look back that really helped me to have such a high production year, such a creative year. The books I wrote that year were so much fun, and I just had a great time writing them, and I'm so ready to get back into that. And one of the things that I realized about myself recently is that in some ways I have diminished my identity as a writer. So when I first started writing in 2007, 2006, as something I knew I wanted to pursue as a career, I had a hard time identifying as a writer then. I had a hard time saying I am a writer because I wasn't published. No one had chosen me. No one had said, you're a writer. I wasn't professional at anything. I was just someone trying to learn how to be a writer. I didn't feel proficient at it. Didn't feel like I was good at it. So it took time to establish those habits and to really ground myself in that wording of I am a writer. And then when I started publishing, and this was what I did for a living, I became really grounded in the fact that I was a writer, and it was great. And I had a lot of ups and downs that I've talked about before, because for me, sometimes when I hit a certain level of success, I would sabotage myself, and I had to learn and grow, as we all do. But at some point, I feel like I was doing so much better, and I hit this high stride, high creative season in my life. And there were a number of things going on. I had more friends that I was able to go on writing retreats with. I lived by the beach. My son, who had been home with us for years, was off at school full time. So I had my days without having to be a mom at home as well. And there were just so many great things. I had cut some toxic relationships out of my life. And so it was a fertile time to have a lot of creative flow. And I am anxious to get that back. I am hungering for that creative flow again. And really, having another pregnancy, having another baby, moving around a lot, and then also spending so much of my time and energy on YouTube kind of shifted my strong identity as a writer into I'm a course creator, I'm a teacher, I'm a helper, I'm a YouTuber, I am a planner, I'm a mom to a toddler and to a 10-year-old. And so all of that stuff started sort of whittling away or chipping away at that really strong grounding of I am a writer, and what I do every day is I sit down and I write books. And I was reading a really great Substack newsletter from my friend Shannon just this morning, where she was talking about how a lot of times for writers, our best ideas come in the shower, or they come when we're bored. They come when we're going for a walk, or when we're not otherwise occupied in our mind with other things. And that message was so right on time for me, because that's some of what I've come to realize as well, is that a lot of my writing ideas were coming from going for walks with my husband and talking through my plot, thinking about my plot when I'm in the shower, when I'm sitting there getting ready for bed or putting on my makeup. I was thinking about my plot. But now my time is so filled with professional development. I've signed up for a lot of courses, and so I'm trying to get through them all. So when I'm doing my makeup or when I have downtime, I'm trying to watch those videos. I've set up my iPad in my bathroom so I can be multitasking. And when I'm in the car, I'm always listening to podcasts or audiobooks. And George and I don't go for walks like we used to anymore, because Evie, our 3-year-old, is at that stage where she doesn't want to get in a stroller, but she's also too slow and doesn't have the stamina to walk long distances. So we can only go just a little ways. And the whole walk is just kind of managing the kids. Like, don't go into the street, hold my hand, walk here, do this. And so there's not as much of that just free, effortless time to sit and chat about my story. When I'm in the shower, I'm usually thinking about what's my next video going to be about? How can I help people? Or these questions I needed to answer. And so the long story short of it is, I know that at my core, I was born to tell stories. And I know that I'm also someone who's passionate about helping other writers find their voice, find their confidence, get past trauma, learn how to manage their time. So it's like, I am all of these things, and I'm a mom. So we have, like, all of us have these multiple things that we identify as. But George kind of broke my heart the other day, because when we were talking about the things that I do, the majority now of my time and income is spent on heart breathings. And he was like, it's kind of like your writing's just your hobby now. And I honestly couldn't decide if I wanted to punch him in the throat or start crying because he was right. And that is the truth, because writers sit down and they write stories. And when they're thinking about things, they're thinking about their characters, they're thinking about their stories, they're thinking through things, they're talking about it, they're obsessed with their stories. And I used to be that person. And I know that we all go through seasons, and I have just been in a season of service, of I want to help people. I want to create this channel. I want to share my knowledge. I want to connect with my community and meet all of you. And that has been wonderful. And I'm not moving out of that season necessarily, but I just am moving into a season where I'm ready to find that balance between what I give to others and what I also keep for myself. And the writing does both as well, because my fans love the books. And of course, as writers, we serve our fans in that way of we entertain them, we make them laugh, we help them feel like they're a part of something greater. And I want that. That's my passion too. And I just miss my characters. I miss my stories. I miss that filling of the well, that experience of sitting down and having the story flow. And I've had moments of it, like this past November with National Novel Writing Month, where you're challenged to write 50,000 words. I did write 50,000 words, and I had moments there where the words were flowing and it felt so good. But I'm ready to get back to a place where that is my norm and I'm enjoying it, and I'm not so wrapped up in the business and the worries and the fear and even the comments and the social media and what do I have to post. I'm just ready to bring myself back to that balance. And many of you know, I've got this sign of this dragonfly over here that many years ago, I think it was 2016, around that time, I was going through some really, really tough times with depression and other things, and just couldn't get my life back on track. And I had this moment where I was sitting outside and a dragonfly sat on my phone case, and the phone case was my cover, my book cover. And it just was this profound moment in my life of you are a writer and it's time to get back to your joy. And I feel like I've gone in cycles over my writing life of, a decade and a half now of enjoying it, being a writer because I love it and being immersed in it, and then slipping out of it and focusing on other people, the numbers, the sales, the money, the worries, the fears, the business. and then having to bring myself back. And I think in some ways that might just be a natural part that many of us face when we're trying to not only be a creative and a writer, but to run a business doing that. And so I'm stepping into that and saying, okay, I understand that I have not completely lost the joy, but I've sort of lost the writer identity in myself. And so I'm ready to get it back. So that's what Writer Reset, this is a long explanation, but that's what Writer Reset is to me. And so I'm going to be focusing on 3 main areas when it comes to resetting my writing. And it's happening at the perfect time because Camp NaNoWriMo starts April 1st. And this is a mini challenge. So NaNoWriMo in November is to write 50,000 words. It's very strict. It's like, in order to win, you must get this many words. And Camp NaNoWriMo is April and July, and it's much more casual. You can set any goal you want. You can set an editing goal, you can set a time goal, you can set a writing goal, and I have plenty of videos about how to set your goals for Nano, so we're not going to talk about that as much here, so I'll link some of those previous Camp NaNoWriMo goals down there below. The site will only set up write or edit, but they do explain to you, and I'll link that page, how you can also set it down for like time spent, hours spent, and things like that. But I'm going to set a writing goal because I'm trying to finish my book, The Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. So I've been plotting it on this wall back here. And during Camp Nano, or during NaNoWriMo, I wrote 50,000 words of it, but I had already written some of it before Nano began. So as it sits right now, I think I'm around 70,000 words in the rough draft. So I'm going to set a goal for myself for camp to write 20,000 words. That'll get me to about 90,000 words, and I think it will get me to the end of the rough draft. And then the manuscript is a bit of a mess, so we'll see how it goes from there. Overall, I'm not going to focus on editing or how long it's going to take me to get through edits or what a mess this book is in. I'm just going to focus on writing that 3rd act, because that's really what's left, is to write that 3rd act. It's a murder mystery, basically. It's a mystery of what happened to this girl. And so we're going to find out. You know, I already know I have it plotted, and I'm hoping it'll really flow and it'll be exciting to finally get to this ending that I imagined in my head literally 6 years ago. So that's an exciting thing. So I'm going to use the momentum of camp to get back to this writer reset. But I wanted to share the journey with you because I know that so many of us do go through these cycles, whether you're publishing actively or not. There are just times where our family life or something that's going on with our job or something that's going on in our lives, conflict in relationships, other responsibilities, just take us away from our writing identity. And sometimes when we've been out of it for a while, we can start to question, like, am I even still a writer? Like, is this still who I actually am? And I think deep down, those of us that have struggled with this, we know that we're good at this. We know that there's some reason we're drawn to it and that we have a talent for it, but we just get scared or we just get pulled away. Or for some reason, we convince ourselves that being away for a short time or even for years means that it'll be difficult to get back to it. So this is really about coming back home to that space of identity. I am a writer, and reminding my subconscious mind that I'm a writer, reminding my joy and getting back to the things that I love most about it. I'll go deeper into this when we actually start the writer reset videos. I'm excited for that. I am creating space intentionally for being a writer again. And in order to be a writer, it has to become a priority. Otherwise, it's just a hobby. And if it's a hobby for you, that's fine too. Like, there's no judgment there. But I want for it to be part of my daily life, part of who I am as a person. And I know that it is. I just have to get back to it. So those are my plans for Camp NaNoWriMo, 20,000 words. I'm not going to try to get ahead early in the beginning because I'm going to still be working through writing some note cards and getting my room set up. So week 1 might be more of a setup week. And then weeks 2 through 4 will be all about getting those 20,000 words in. So I need about 6,000 to 7,000 words a week. And I'm pretty excited for it. I think I can do it. I think I can finish the book. And now I'm going to go set up my Camp NaNoWriMo goal. So let's do that before we go. Every year, one of the questions is, how do I get involved? How do I actually join Camp NaNoWriMo? Well, it's all on one site. So National Novel Writing Month in November and camp in April and July all happen at nanowrimo.org. So I will leave that link for you in the description, or you can just Google for it, and it will look like this. And you'll just come to the right-hand upper corner and either sign up if you've never had an account before, or sign in. So I'm going to sign in, and it's going to pull up all of my previous Camp Nanos and everything else. And this is my most recent sort of in progress, is The Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. Now I am planning to continue working on that book, and I actually need to update my word count beyond what I just did in Nano. If you don't have a previous project that you've already created that you're going to be continuing, you could just go to this banner here and click Join Camp NaNoWriMo. But the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go to my previous project. So if you have Nano already and you're going to work on like an older project, you can just go to My NaNoWriMo and click on Projects, and it's going to bring up everything you've worked on in the past. So you can choose any of these projects. So if I was going to work on book 12 of my series, I could do that, or I could go down here to this NaNoWriMo goal and click Create New Goal. And then I'm going to click this button. This is kind of the important part if you want to join Camp Nano, is to click this button that says Associate with a NaNoWriMo event, and then make sure that you've selected Camp Nano April 2023. And then that's going to be your goal. And you can choose whether you're going to be writing or you're going to be editing. And you can pretty much do plotting or anything you want. Camp is a lot more flexible. Like I said, my goal is going to be 20,000 words, and it's going to automatically say your start date is April 1st and it ends on April 30th because it's a specific event. Now, if you wanted to use the Nano site all year long, you could just come in here and set goals that are not associated with an event, and you could just set it for a June goal or a January to March goal. And you can use this site all year long, which is really one of the cool things that they did when they started making some changes to the site. So now I have a new goal, and as I continue this, I will be aiming for that 20,000 words, and I also will add to it the 50,000 that I wrote before. But this is a cool way to be able to track just the 20,000 that I'm writing for camp. And so it's all set. Now I do actually want to go up here, and I want to click on this little cog, and I'm going to change the cover art, because previously I had it said NaNoWriMo 2022 covering up the main part of the cover, and now it's going to say Camp 2023. And so that will update in just a second. And now I have my project set up. But like I said, if you had never done Nano before, you'll find that banner at the top that just says Join Camp NaNoWriMo. You make sure to click that button to associate it, and then you set whatever goal you want. You could write 5,000 words. You could decide to write 200,000 words. It's really, really flexible, and you can change your goal. So if you get halfway through the month and you're like, no way, I'm going to hit 20K, you can adjust it down to 10,000. So that's one of the differences between camp and the regular like NaNoWriMo of the year. But I think there is a point when you get towards the end that they won't let you change the goal so that you can actually like head toward a specific goal, and you can't change it at the last minute to like whatever you wrote. So keep that in mind, but I'm going to set my goal at 20K. I might end up going above it, but the main thing is I want to try to finish this book, and I know I can do it. So let's go camp. Okay, so let's just do a quick flip through of your Camp NaNoWriMo planner here. So this is going to be free to download for anybody who's on my newsletter list. There is a Sunday start version and a Monday start version. I don't have an A5 version, it's just letter, but you can always resize it if you want. So basically, this is similar to last year's Camp Nano workbooks. And you just can grab it anytime you sign up for my newsletter, download it along with any of my other resources. And it's just meant to kind of support you if you would like a little extra support. So it has a quote, "You learn to write by writing," which is so important because sometimes we feel like we have to have it all figured out before we start, but there's so much of the writing process that is learned just by doing. So get in there, don't worry about doing it perfectly. So maybe this quote will help remind you. There's also a rewards planner here. If you're doing 50K, that would be for every 10,000 words, but like I'm doing 20K, so I'm probably going to put every 4,000 words here will be a reward. So I could put 4,000 is the first milestone, and maybe the first reward is a Starbucks latte. Okay. And then I could put 8,000 reward here is maybe a Netflix night, something like that. So just some fun little ideas for your rewards. And then maybe when you hit your final reward, you could do something a little bit bigger, like dinner out, or something like a new video game, or just whatever makes you happy. So something fun to help keep you motivated. And then as you reach them, you could put a sticker here or a check mark or a star or something like that. Then we have the actual planner. So this is something that I like to do whenever we hit any of these months. And I actually do this even when I'm not doing Nano. I like to have a monthly calendar that I can go through, and it's pretty simple. You just mark off any days that you're not going to be able to write. So if you have a specific day, like for me, there's some stuff going on the 18th. I might not be able to write that day. My son has a baseball game. So just a few little things. So you would mark off the days you can't write. Then choose whether or not you want to add in any buffer days. So let's say I'm just going to give myself Saturdays off because I want to try to give myself a little bit of extra leeway in my plan. So then you would tally up your total days off and subtract this. Oops, I have a typo, so I'm going to fix that before I upload it. From 30 to get your total writing days. So you would take 30, which is the total days in April, minus however many days you X'd off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for me, it's 6. Now, if you're doing buffer days, you might not know specifically it's a Saturday. So you might have just 3 days marked off, but you want to give yourself like 3-day leeway. That would still be here, and you might not just know where it's going to fit. So when you subtract that, you've come up with, okay, I've got 24 writing days available in the month of April. And then all you do is you divide your target, so 20,000 words, divided by 24 per day. And I don't do math in my head, so I'm looking to see if I have a calculator here in my desk. And I do, this cute one from Erin Condren. So I've got my goal divided by the number of days that I'm going to be able to work. And that gives me about, let's say 834, if I round it up, words per day. So on my writing days, I'm going to try to write 834 words per day. And that's going to be my target. And for me, this kind of math of going through and looking at my realistic time and figuring out what target I'm trying to reach on a daily basis is super helpful, because it helps me to not get too far behind. It also helps me to see if this plan is realistic. And then all you got to do is follow through. So that'll give you your goal. Then there's this sheet here for Camp NaNoWriMo April, where you can set your project title. So for me, The Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, my goal is 20,000 words. You can make it prettier than this if you want. My daily target from the previous one is 834 words a day. And then any notes that you want to make here. So I could make notes here about what I'm doing on these days off, like I'm not planning to write on Saturdays. I could also make notes here about which scenes I'm planning to write. So I might come in here and say, like over here, I'm going to put Act 3. And then my notes about Act 3 are going to be, I'm really just hoping to finish this rough draft. Whatever. I can't talk and write at the same time. But I could just say, I'm really hoping to write and finish this rough draft. Here's the outline of the scenes I'm hoping to write. And if I can write, a piece of a scene each day, and then here's my plan. Anything you want to write on here. It could be an encouraging note to yourself, or it could be something about the story itself. Then you have a project pixel tracker, and each one of these represents 1,000 words. So you've got 100 words per block. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and number these, and I would number them to 20. So 4, 5. So you can fit up to 25,000 words per block, or 50,000 per sheet. So I'm probably going to do this, I'm going to make a prettier one. This is kind of just my chicken scratch version here, but I would probably block them off with some kind of highlighter, and then just maybe put quotes or stickers over the tops of the others, so I don't feel like I needed to fill them in. And then what I will do is throughout the course of the month, when I write 100 words, I can just fill this in with a pattern, or I could just color it all the way in, however you want to do it. So then, if you've gotten 500 words, now you've got 5 of these blocks done, and this will be a good way to tell. And something I like to do too is I will highlight the number or fill in the number for each day in a different color so that visually I can see like, wow, I had a really good day that day, or it just makes me feel good to have them. Or you could do it all in one color. It's a little project planner there. Then I've also included these word count tracker sheets. If you have the HB90 planner, you already have these sheets, but I love these sheets and I use them every single book that I do. And I've recreated this in my plotting notebook as well, that you just put your book title here, you put your goal, and it could be the whole goal for your whole book, or it could just be for Nano. Each one of these columns has 25 lines in it, so you could fit up to 50 sprints in here. And the way I like to do this is to track it by sprint. So I will say, like, let's say the date is April 1st, the sprint, let's say for this sprint, I got 50 words. Then I would say for today, that's 50, and total now, that's 50. But then let's say I did a second sprint. I'm gonna just leave the date blank because it's the same day. And let's say I wrote 100 my second sprint. So then today I'm gonna add the two together. So this column is the individual sprint. This column is the total for the day. And this column is the total on your manuscript. So let's say I'm at 150, and then I come back tomorrow and I have a new date. And let's say I wrote another 100 words. Today I would start over with the 100. And sometimes I actually like to take some kind of colored pen so that I can say, well, that's the end of a day here. And then this last one is going to be the total for the whole manuscript, which is now going to be 250. So as you go, this one is each individual sprint. This is how much you've done added up for the day. And this is how much you've done added up for your entire month or your entire manuscript. And I actually do like to go through and both estimate how many sprints I think it'll take me to reach my goal for the month, and I like to number them out to the side. So for me, 20,000 words with an average of about 650 words per sprint means that I need 31 or so sprints to finish and win Nano. So I would go all the way to 25 here, and then I would mark these. And so I would maybe mark this here and say, this is my goal. And that way, visually, when I sit down to track this every day, I could say, okay, I've made it this far. Like, I only have this much more to go. And it's a visual way to track your progress. So if you're a visual person, this can be super, super helpful. So you've got 2 sheets, enough for 100 sprints there. And then on this next sheet, you have a Camp NaNoWriMo tracker. So you don't have to use all these tools. Just pick which one resonates most with you for this particular project, or you can use them all if you want. So my target for each day is going to be 834. So then here I can mark what's my actual progress so far. So if I got 640, then I'm a little bit behind. And I could make a little note here that says, I'm just a little bit behind. I'm going to catch up tomorrow. And then on these days that I marked off, so let's say April 5th was a day that I had a 0 target, then I can just say that's my target is 0, but I'm at 12,000 words for the month or whatever. And I can just track what my daily target is, as well as how far I am toward my goal with any kind of notes. So whichever ones of those kind of resonate with you. Another option here is a game board. And I did this last year and I found it really fun. I had a little Hello Kitty game piece. I don't have one with me right now, but I do have this little crystal. So basically you've got 30 days on your game board. And so you can set up your game board every day and set your goal. So I'm going to try to write 834 words today. And then when I finish the day, I could write 834 or whatever I got. Let's say I got 814. So I would write that there and maybe color it in, or highlight it in some way, or just outline the outside of it. And then I would move on to day 2 and just keep this. I actually ended up printing this one on cardboard or heavy cardstock so that I could color it in and everything. And then I shared that on Instagram. So it was really fun to do the game board. So I left that in there. I know that little sheet that you can put on your office that says, ask me later, I'm writing, which is good if you have people that keep interrupting you. And then there's just a final sheet that has some links here for you if you're interested. So you can download that down below. I hope you enjoy it. Just a freebie from me to you. Just if you're planning to focus on NaNoWriMo. We also will have a writer reset workbook that's going to be some journaling questions and some plans for what you can do to reset your writing that I will share with you all next week. So definitely get on that newsletter list. Come join us and let's win some Camp Nano. So let me know in the comments if you're doing Camp Nano. Let me know if you're not doing Camp Nano, but you're really interested in the writer reset. And come join my mailing list because there is an entire library of free free tools there for you, including a brand new workbook for Camp NaNoWriMo. So I will have all of that information linked down below of how you can join. And when you join, you'll get the Camp NaNoWriMo workbook, and then I'll send you an email with a link to my entire resource library, which has a whole workbook on how to plot your novel, how to edit your novel, build a series and write a series, how to plan your writing time. There's just tons of stuff in there, how to write with scenes and world building and just all kinds of stuff that I've developed over the years. So you get access to all of that for free, and you get a weekly email from me. So come join us over there. There will also be a writer reset journaling coming hopefully next week. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. So Camp NaNo workbook this week, writer reset journal coming hopefully next week. And I'm excited to see what you're writing, how you're doing. And don't forget, during any NaNoWriMo, any month, any time, come join us in the Heart Breathings writing community. We are talking about 6,000 writers who get together here and there almost on a daily basis. And we have a lot of amazing admins who run live writing sprints literally every single day. And we have a writing retreat coming up in April. We also have our Double Down Day coming up on April 1st. So lots of great stuff coming if you want a little bit of extra support with your writing, which I will be adding into my schedule more come April. So I will see you guys in those sprints. Okay, so that is it. Camp NaNoWriMo is coming up. I will see you next week, hopefully with a new video. But if I don't have a new video up, I will definitely be back in April for our HB Notebook Challenge and for the first Writer Reset vlog. Come join our newsletter so that you can get those fabulous freebies from me, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.